I really think Garry's Mod needs no introduction. If you've played Garry's Mod as much as I have, you've probably played a lot of Gamemodes, but I want to show you some that you've probably heard of, and some that you might have not heard of. Sandbox is usually the first game mode people play when they buy the game, and it's usually what you see when you see Gmod content on the internet. Sandbox is essentially the Gmod game mode. Giving a full unrestricted experience with the ability of multiplayer is just a recipe for success. The only other built-in game mode to Garry's Mod is Trouble in Terrorist Town. If you don't know what it is, at least one player is chosen to be the traitor, and their goal is to kill all the innocent terrorists. That's the basic idea of it. Obviously there's some other things in there like detectives, buy menus, and whatever the server has modded in. For example, when I joined this server, I was unboxing crates to get weapons I can add to my loadout when I spawn in. If you played TTT before, you know that is kinda strange. TTT is strange. It's both a complex and simple game mode all at the same time. It's also really fun. Some of my best memories with Gmod are playing mind games with other people and my friends, trying to make them think that I'm not going to kill them in the next 5 seconds. Also, quick side note, I'm learning this while editing the video. Apparently the guy who made TTT for Garry's Mod also made Zombie Master for Half-Life 2, so that's kinda cool. A game mode very similar to TTT and also very popular is Murder. Murder is very fun and very simple. You have one person with a knife trying to kill everybody, another person with a gun trying to protect everyone alive. If you don't spawn with a gun, you can usually pick up clues to eventually get one. Overall, a really simple but also really fun game mode. Speaking of really fun game modes, Prop Hunt is, you know, one of those. But you may be asking, Manic, which prop hunt do I use? There's so many. Others of you may be thinking, what? Well, let me fill you in. You can choose from Prop Hunt Enhanced, Awesome Prop Hunt Enhanced Plus, Prop Hunt with a picture of Naruto, Prop Hunt Ultimate, and Prop Hunt TR version. My favorite is Prop Hunters, mainly because of how close to the original it is. In Prop Hunt, there are 2 teams. On one team you have the props, and on the other team you have the hunters. The goal of the props is to hide in their environment by becoming some of the props around the map. The goal of the hunters is to find the props and kill them before the time runs out. If the hunters damage too many props that aren't real people, then they die. Another really addicting and simple game mode to play with your friends. I'm really only covering this one because I know someone's gonna say something if I don't. DarkRP is one of the most played game modes on Gmod to date. It's very easily moddable and there's many additions you can add on to it to make every server feel unique. The game mode has a bad reputation for having just the worst admins and players known to man.
Citizens aren't supposed to have guns.
When picking a server, it's like picking a server in DayZ. It's a coin flip whether everyone in the server is gonna be awful or not. Moving on to a game mode that's a lot more fun. I really hope I don't have to explain what hide and seek is to you. People are trying to find other people hiding. If they touch them, then they're also trying to find people hiding. It's really simple. There's not a lot else I can really say about it. I mean, come on, it's hide and seek. Stop at Slender is similar to hide and seek, only in this game you walk in front of people and try and kill them. So it's actually nothing like hide and seek. One person plays as the Slender Man and the rest are trying to find pages. Once all the pages are found, the survivors win. If the Slender Man kills everybody, then he wins. The way he kills people is certainly unique. If you look at him for too long, then you die. You also die if he stands next to you for too long, so you can't just bury your head in a corner. Brayden, you're getting me all warbled and gorbled over here, like...
No. There was another. Why would those rooms ever be connected? Why? What?
Did you just cross up Slender?
I did.
The objective is get in front of him, but it's really obnoxious.
I'm gonna go back this way now.
You?
MelonBomber is one of my favorite game modes of all time. I mean, it's basically just Bomberman, but it's still so much fun. Each player starts with 1 bomb, 1 speed, and 1 power. You can get these numbers up by blowing up crates and collecting the items inside. There are also upgrades you can get, such as the Super Bomb and the Remote Control Bombs. You win once every player that is not you is dead. And throughout the entire round, people are getting more powerful, getting more bombs, more explosive bombs, and more speed. And if it wasn't obvious, you kill other people by blowing them up. By either trapping them in a spot with one of your bombs or kicking a really well-timed melon at them. It even has different map modes like rings and specials, so you can play this for hours. You Touched It Last is really fun. One player starts with a ball that they have to pass off to other players before the time runs out. When the time runs out, the ball explodes, hence the name You Touched It Last. There's not a ton to say about the game. It has other game modes like Infection, but I'm talking about the main one. If you can get a small group of friends together for Gmod, I really recommend playing this mode. It's super fun.
It's Ben.
I thought he knew where
no.
we were.
I want to take a moment here to talk about other Source Engine games that have been ported to Garry's Mod. And the first thing that comes to mind when I say that is The Hidden. The Hidden is a game where you have a team of players hunting down one player. That player, however, has a couple of tricks up their sleeve. He can jump and cling to walls, he can put pipe bombs in mailboxes, and use a really long knife attack that insta-kills you. Oh yeah, and they're practically invisible. Players have to use tools like motion sensors, flashlights, and laser sights to actually find where he is. The Hidden won't survive many shots, so they have to play very strategically and take people out one by one. There's another game mode very similar to this called the Stalker, which I'll talk about later on. Now, if you saw my last video, you know I didn't cover the game Zombie Master, and that's because I couldn't find people actually playing it. I tried 3 different versions of the game, and still found no one. Which is unfortunate because it's a really fun game. One player takes control of the Zombie Master, and the rest of the players have to complete the map objective. The Zombie Master is pretty much playing an RTS game, spawning zombies to attack the survivors and activating traps to kill them as well. I used a mod to make the Zombie Master an AI so I could get footage for this easier. But if you can get a group of friends together to play this game, it is so much fun. If you're gonna play this in Gary's mod, go find the Zombie Master AI mod. It should require the Zombie Master game mode, and then from there you can download the Zombie Master map pack. This is the only way I've been able to find the Zombie Master game mode on Gmod's workshop. I don't know if it's unlisted or if something's just being weird with the workshop. Now this one seems pretty obvious, but Half-Life 2. The Half-Life 2 campaign mod gives you and your friends the ability to play through Half-Life 2 together without the weirdness of synergy. The Lambda co-op mod kinda does the same thing, but they both have their own pros and cons, so just pick whichever one you like more. Not to say these are the only 2 Half-Life 2 co-op mods, but these are the ones that are the most popular. Synergy is kind of outdated, so if you don't feel like dealing with some of that stuff, I would really recommend trying out this. Alright, back to the rest of these. Trash Compactor is awesome. In Trash Compactor, one player plays as the trash man with an abundance of props at their disposal. They have to throw the props down towards the bottom of the map where the other players are and try and hit them and kill them.
I ain't going over there with those parts.
Very simple, very fun. Also, if you didn't know, it's based off the Halo custom mode. BaseBuild is one of my favorite game modes that no one plays. 2 teams fight over resources on the map to build a tower and upgrade their base. Once a team builds a tower, they have to defend it for a certain amount of time until they win. Base upgrades can include walls, healing stations, and buildings that you can use to buy better guns. Certain resources like iron are usually found in mines, causing players to all flock there and have really close quarter battles. It's a real shame no one plays this game mode. It's a lot of fun. Ragdoll Combat is goofy, but it's a good kind of goofy. It's about as simple as you can get when you think Gmod fighting game. I mean, there's about 8 buttons in total, 4 of those being your movement keys, 2 of those being left and right punch, and another one being crouch. And space causes you to do a leap forward that usually gets you killed. This mod was also apparently made by the same guy who made the Pill Pack mod, if any of you remember that. DeathRun isn't exactly exclusive to Gary's mod, but is where I've seen it the most. The game has people running through an obstacle course while one person is attempting to activate traps to kill them. That is all there really is to say about it. It seems people don't really play it on Gary's mod anymore, which is kind of a shame. I used to have a lot of fun with this game mode. Elevator source is weird. If you ever wanted to experience sitting in an elevator on Benadryl for over an hour, well, this is a good mod for you. Throughout the mod, the elevator stops at weird and wacky little places. You can't go into the worlds, but you can certainly see them. I won't spoil what happens at the end because I think you should go and grab some friends and play this because it is kind of fun. Sled Build is an absolute classic. If you can't guess what you do, you build a sled, and then you do sled things. This being Gary's mod, obviously you can make some really crazy and hilarious things. We ended up playing this for a while, but I lost my mind around 3 in the morning.
Alright, I need my diving tank. I need my oxygen tank so I can dive. Bucket.
This is a bucket.
Now I'm scared that you're gonna do it to me. Why are you bucketing my boat?
What happened?
Oops. We have to chain onto it. Why are you just pushing a bucket into everything? Ben, are you okay?
I got achievement progress for Destroyer, by the way.
Well, that's all I can use of that. The Starship Troopers game mode is one of my favorite. Unfortunately, over the years, it got a little buggy. The game mode has you defending against waves of arachnids, or in this case, antlions, as well as defending the lieutenant who looks a lot like Barney Calhoun. The game mode has some problems now, like the weapons being really flickery, and sometimes just script errors popping up out of nowhere. But it's one I really recommend you try, and it can be a real challenge in the later waves. The Floor is Lava is a really underrated game mode. You have a certain amount of time to figure out how to get up high so you can avoid the lava. Your goal is to avoid the rising lava and to push other players into said lava. But it's not as simple as that. You have many abilities to choose from, as well as the ability to throw eggs at people. If you're hit with an egg, you're practically blind for around 5 seconds, and your abilities allow you to do things as simple as push harder to climb walls. I think the hardest part about the game mode is finding a map that doesn't have a spot everyone flocks to. Slave of Gmod is, well, it's Hotline Miami. But it's also super underrated and really fun. It's mainly recognized for its deathmatch mode, but it has a whole story campaign. And it pretty much plays like Hotline Miami and Source. Everything's super fast and you die in a couple of hits. You can even choose between multiple characters. I think one of the cooler parts is that it comes with bot support for the deathmatch mode, so even if you can't get people to play with, you can still play it. Also, this was apparently made by the same guy who made Stop It Slender, so that's pretty cool. Flood is a game mode very similar to Sled Build, only in this mode, instead of building a sled and going downhill, you build a boat and try to survive. What is there to survive, you may ask? Well, other people shooting your boat from underneath you and having you die in the leech-infested water. It's a fun game mode, and I've seen some people get really creative with their boats. I'm gonna make this one very brief. I already have a video talking about zombie survival. It's in my video called Source Engine Zombie Games, so if you want to hear me ramble about that, go watch that video. I previously mentioned that the Stalker is a lot like the Hidden, and it basically is. They're basically the same game mode, but instead of having a pipe bomb, the Stalker has psionic abilities. These abilities can range from scrambling players' HUDs to picking up props and throwing them at people at deadly velocity. It's pretty fun, and it's a bit more polished than the Hidden is nowadays. And little advice, if you're gonna play this, don't play it on Dust 2, I really don't recommend that. Believe it or not, freeze tag is a little different than you might think. The difference is the guy doing the freezing actually has a freeze gun where the bullets move almost as fast as you run. And if he touches you, then you're instantly frozen. The rest is about what you'd expect. You touch your teammates once they're frozen to unfreeze them, and you have to survive until the time runs out. It's pretty fun, even with a small group of people. Awesome Strike Source is a mode that I am just bewildered by. Imagine Counter-Strike, but you can respawn, all your bullets have travel time, and you have special items like dodgeballs, grapple hooks, and swords. You can also do things like slide and jump off walls. It's chaos, and I love it. The fact I had no idea what was going on for the first 15 minutes really says something. But even then, it's still a pretty fun game mode. Fat Kid has you experiencing the daily life of a DarkRP admin. One player is chosen as the Fat Kid, and the rest are the Skinny Kids. The Skinny Kids usually have to make it to the end of the map and then kill the Fat Kid in some way. And the Fat Kid's goal is to eat the Skinny Kids and turn them into skeletons. Once you're a skeleton, you work alongside the Fat Kid trying to kill the Skinny Kids. You're super fast, but you die in about one shot. It's a fun game mode, and the more people there are, the more chaotic it gets. ScreenHack is very similar to the game's Screen Cheat. If you don't know how the game works, every player is invisible and you have to find out where they are based on what they can see. First player to reach 5 points without dying wins. It's one of those things that seems simple enough, but people start getting really creative when they play it. It's recommended you play with 4 people, but the game mode doesn't have a player limit, so you can get the screens really small. DropZone is really fun. One thing you're immediately gonna notice, it's a lot like Smash. You gotta get your enemies % high so they go flying more when you hit them. Unlike Smash, you don't have characters, you have abilities that you can use to mix and match to make a loadout that fits your playstyle best. It's extremely fun, and learning all kinds of different combos and abilities and ultimate abilities leads to really replayable gameplay. Just to show you what the game's like, I'm going to show you a clip of me commentating over a fight for nearly a minute. I'm constantly, Ashen flying back, barely staying on the platform here. Now they're on opposite sides of each other, they're squaring each other up, they're seemingly looking for each other. Brayden climbing towards the top, they have found each other. Ashen hits Brayden hard, killing him. My camera has froze. Please help, my camera has froze, I cannot move it. I'm guessing there's cool things happening over there. Ashen wasted his dash. Brayden holding a top. Can you guys, yeah, fight over here. Ashen on fire again. Brayden getting sent back pretty far. Barely holding on. Barely holding on. Brayden reverses the moves. They're behind the mountain. I cannot see the fight. Brayden goes flying out from the back. Barely saving himself. Brayden now in the noosphere. All the way up there, he's returned.
Star KO in Smash, by the way. I would have gotten my.
Before I talk about the last game, I want to talk about some other games that were ported over to Gary's mod that are kind of neat. The first one is Among Us. Someone went and remade Among Us in Gary's mod, and it works surprisingly well. The game mode only supports one map as far as I'm aware, but it's still a pretty faithful recreation. The other game mode is Quake 3. Someone ported over almost the entirety of Quake 3 to Gary's mod, and it works really well. If you don't feel like paying $10 or $15 for Quake 3 and you have Gary's mod, this is actually pretty good. Last thing I got on the list here is Jazztronauts. Jazztronauts is an extremely addicting and super fun game mode. The game has characters you can talk to, a full story, upgrade, there's a lot to it. The game mode has you going from map to map, picking up every prop and texture you can. With everything you pick up, it can be used to upgrade your tools and get new tools. But you may be asking, what maps do I play this on? Well, they seem to be randomly chosen off the Gmod workshop, so you can get tons of different maps to play. Oh, and did I mention it all works in multiplayer? This is a great game mode for booting up with your friends on a Saturday night. All of you just rampaging through maps, stealing the textures, the props, everything. It's so much fun. I know I missed a ton of game modes, so leave a comment below about some game modes I missed and I might do a part 2. I know this certainly wasn't my best work, but my next video should be a bit more interesting. I say should because I've learned my lesson with talking about release dates. Either way, my name is Manic Virus, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.